Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching and for subscribing. And if you're just visiting, please consider subscribing. So today is part 3 of my year wrap-up series, and today we're going to talk about my unexpected loves of this year. And these could be fragrances that really surprised me, that I didn't expect to love as much as I did. These could feature notes that I didn't used to like but started liking this year. Just in some way, they really surprised me. First, let's talk about the note of tobacco, which up to this year I never liked, and in fact I avoided all of the fragrances that featured this note. And first fragrance that kind of made me take notice of this note was AMOUAGE Sunshine. This fragrance has a lot of notes, but the main ones to me are osmanthus and white tobacco. And osmanthus really smells like apricots, so this really has apricot jam smell, and there is white tobacco here, which is very light, but it brings a really nice, slightly smoky, slightly tobacco type of vibe to this fragrance, which really makes it more interesting. And when I got it, when I started wearing it, I really started enjoying what white tobacco brought to this fragrance, and that made me think that maybe I need to explore other fragrances with this note, which I have explored quite a few later on in the year. And so the second one I'm going to show you is the one that I purchased towards the end of the year. And that's because, again, I had a sample, I tried it, and I really fell in love with it. And the interesting thing is that I've sampled this fragrance quite a few years ago, and I really disliked it at that point. It just shows you how much our tastes change and how our noses mature. I'm talking about Tobacco Vanille from Tom Ford. Again, there are a lot of notes in here, but the main ones are tobacco leaf, vanilla, and dried fruits, and that's really what it smells like. Again, this is not a white tobacco anymore. This is tobacco leaf, which is kind of a gentler, I think, tobacco smell and slightly sweeter tobacco smell. And of course, vanilla brings more sweetness. And there are dried fruits, which to me mostly smell like cherry. So this is kind of like a sweet cherry with tobacco. Absolutely beautiful scent, something that I have really been enjoying, especially in the colder weather. And definitely tobacco note is something new to me this year, and it was really unexpected, but I've really fallen in love with this note. Second note that I never expected to love, even more so than tobacco, was of course oud. The first few times that I tried fragrances with oud, I just could not even wear them for an hour. Even for 15 minutes I couldn't wear them. I just found oud so overwhelming, kind of medicinal, just too strong and not for me. And I never thought that I would enjoy this note. But then I tried Oud Ambrosie from MAISON LANCOME, and this is the fragrance that kind of introduced me to a different type of oud that I really enjoyed and that I didn't mind. Here we have oud mixed with honey, so it is very sweet, very enveloping kind of scent, very comforting, but then you get that kind of a really woody, smoky, powerful note of oud, just then again brings something special to this fragrance, makes it stronger, more powerful, more of a statement fragrance. And that really made me take a second look at the note of oud, and I started exploring other fragrances with this note. And so the next one that has the note of oud that I really fell in love with is from Jo Malone. This is Velvet Rose and Oud. I first sampled this fragrance when I got my October or November, I can't remember, subscription from perfume.com, and this is the fragrance that came in that subscription, and I was really surprised how much I loved it. Yes, it's another rose and oud combination, but to me this is the best one that I tried. In addition to rose and oud, we also have praline in here, which really brings such a nice element of sweetness. It's not your typical just vanilla and rose, but I think praline adds a different type of sweetness. And oud in here is so gentle, so beautiful. It is not overpowering. This is, I think, a great choice for someone who's just starting out, trying out fragrances with oud. I would definitely recommend this one. It's very light in this fragrance, even lighter than in Oud Ambrosie, and so this is beautiful. And these fragrances just prove to me that not every oud is made the same. There are all kinds of different oud notes out there, and you really have to try a fragrance to figure out if it's something that's going to work for you or not. But they definitely these fragrances opened up my eyes to the note of oud, and this is something that I'm definitely not going to run from in the future, but something that I definitely need to try. Next, we have a note of cherry, and it might surprise you, but I was never a huge fan of the note of cherry. I found it too sweet, sort of too synthetic, and I think it's because these are the types of fragrances that I tried. In fact, I've showcased early on my channel a fragrance by Lolita Lempicka. I think it's called Sweet, and it features a prominent note of cherry, and I decluttered that fragrance quite a while ago just because I didn't enjoy it. The cherry seemed too sweet, too synthetic. Just the fragrance itself was not interesting to me. Please remember, these are my opinions. But then I've discovered two amazing fragrances this year with a prominent note of cherry that I absolutely fell in love with. The first one, you might have guessed already, is of course Rouge Smoking. This one has cherry, vanilla, heliotrope, tonka, and musk, and this is slightly nutty, slightly deep, slightly smoky type of cherry. It's like a cherry liqueur. That's what it smells like to me, and I absolutely fell in love with this fragrance and had to purchase the full bottle. And this was probably the first cherry centric scent that I really loved. The second one that I also found this year is Dancing Roses from VIKTOR and ROLF, and this was a line that I never really paid attention to until it kept coming up on sale at Sephora, and then when it came up for the third or fourth time for sale, I thought, okay, I really need to give it a try, and I'm so glad that I did. This is another beautiful scent that features cherry, and here we have cherry mixed with rose. So there's also brandy, there's lychee, and the type of cherry that's in here is sour cherry. And I think what I'm starting to figure out is that sour cherry is actually my favorite type of cherry. So you have this beautiful combination of sour cherry and sweet rose and sweet lychee, and it's just a beautiful sweet and sour combination. And then there is brandy in here, which adds a touch of booziness to this scent. Overall, it's just beautiful, stunning. Obviously, I love rose, but I think sour cherry plays a huge role in this fragrance. And so this has been another completely unexpected love of this year. Next, let's talk about white florals. White florals have always been challenging for me. I never really enjoy fragrances that are heavy in white florals, and more specifically tuberose. Tuberose has always been problematic note for me. I have tried many scents with tuberose as a prominent note. I have really tried to at least like this note, but I really struggle with it. However, there are two fragrances that I found this year that feature the note of tuberose, amongst other white flowers, that I absolutely fell in love with. And so that just, again, proves that not every tuberose is made the same, and it really depends on how it is blended with other notes. So the first one is, of course, 100 Silent Ways from NISHANE. And I heard that this was an amazing fragrance, but because when I looked at the notes, I saw that it had white florals and tuberose, I could not blind buy it. I was just too scared. I thought I was not gonna like it, and so I ordered a sample first. But As soon as I tried the sample, I knew that this is the kind of tuberose that I can get along with. There's also jasmine here, of course. There is vanilla in here. There is sandalwood, and this fragrance is really about vanilla, but it's a floral type of vanilla. So you have jasmine and tuberose and other floral notes in the background, and they're just mixing beautifully with this sweet vanilla. And you have sandalwood that brings creaminess to this, and this is just an amazing, amazing fragrance. Yes, it is vanilla, but it's not just vanilla. I think it's floral type of vanilla, and these white florals play a big role in this fragrance as well. So this has been a very unexpected love, and that's why I had to include it on this list. Another fragrance that I actually discovered very, very early on in the year was Good Girl from Carolina Herrera. Again, this is something that I couldn't risk blind buying. I think I sampled it somewhere at Sephora or at some store before purchasing the full bottle. And of course, there are a lot of floral notes in here as well, including the note of tuberose. There's also jasmine, coffee, tonka, vanilla, praline. So you can see again that there are a lot of sweet notes that I really love in fragrances: vanilla, praline, tonka, and they just blend beautifully with these floral notes. The interesting thing about this fragrance is that, to me, it doesn't really smell floral at all, and it's not about vanilla either. I think probably the most prominent note to me is tonka. It kind of has a touch of nuttiness and spiciness, but overall the blend of all of these notes kind of smell like plums, or plum jam to be more specific. I have no idea why, but that's what it smells like to me, and I absolutely love this fragrance. This is not something I would wear during the day for some reason. To me, this is an evening type of scent, although it's not the most powerful, it's not the strongest scent in my collection, but for some reason I associate it with going out. So unfortunately, I can't say that I have been wearing it a lot in the past half a year, let's say, because we haven't been going anywhere, but I know that this is a scent that I really enjoy, and when life goes back to normal, I'm sure that I will be using it a lot more. Another type of fragrance that really surprised me this year is boozy type of fragrance. Again, this is not something that I ever paid attention to. I can't say that I really didn't like it. I just never paid attention to it for some reason. I had this preconceived notion that this is not something that I'm going to like, or it's not something that's for me. And this year I've discovered two amazing boozy fragrances that just made me fall in love with them completely. The first one is BARAONDA from NASOMATTO. This fragrance is supposed to be about whiskey. It has the note of whiskey in it. There's also ambroxan, woody notes, and rose. This fragrance is definitely very boozy. It's probably the booziest fragrance that I have tried, but for me, it doesn't smell like whiskey because I'm not a huge fan of whiskey in real life, and it's more actually the smell of whiskey that I don't like more than the taste. So when I was purchasing this, I was really worried that it would smell like real whiskey, and to me, it doesn't. It smells more like a red wine, very fermented type of red wine. And it's like it is mixed with dried fruits. That's what it smells like to me. I don't really get rose in here. Of course, it is woody. You do get woody elements here. So this is stunning. I heard from some people, and I read some reviews where people say, you know, when you wear this, you smell like you've been drinking at a bar all night long. No, I don't get that feeling. It is definitely boozy, happy, a very interesting type of scent. I've totally fallen in love with it, and so glad that I risked and tried it. Another amazing boozy scent that I discovered this year is, of course, Angel Share from KILIAN. This fragrance is about cognac, and yes, it does smell like cognac to me. There's also oak in here. There is cinnamon. There's also vanilla. So This scent, when you first spray it on in the opening, it is quite sweet, so definitely vanilla is pretty strong. The interesting thing is that as it dries down, the vanilla note is kind of diminishing a little bit, and it actually becomes less sweet, but not less beautiful. Cinnamon is coming through very strongly, cognac is coming through very strongly, and oak is coming through as well. So as I've mentioned before, it feels like I am drinking a glass of cognac and eating cinnamon bun. It is absolutely beautiful, enveloping, very seductive type of scent. I think this would be great to wear on a date, to go somewhere, or this would be great to wear if you're having a date at home, sitting by the fireplace. I don't know, that's kind of the imagery that I get with this scent. The only downside, which I've mentioned before, is performance on this one is not as great as I would like it to be, but I still love the scent. And lastly, I have sort of this mixed category of specific types of fruits that I never liked before, and these are plums and dates. I've never really, again, these are notes that I never paid attention to, and I think a few that I've tried in the past I wasn't really a big fan of, but I've discovered quite a few fragrances that feature the note of dates this year, and one amazing fragrance that features the note of plum. So the fragrance that I'm going to mention here that features the note of dates is FARAH from BRECOURT. This fragrance is actually very similar to Parfums de Marly Eau Jaune, and that's how I came across this fragrance. I was researching Eau Jaune, and there were a few reviews that mentioned that this one was similar, and so I decided to try it, and I absolutely love it. In addition to dates, we have benzoin, honey, tonka, cinnamon, so you have this amazingly sweet, comforting blend of notes. There's definitely sweetness here from benzoin and honey, although honey is not very prominent, it just adds an element of sweetness. You definitely have some cinnamon in here, and definitely dates are coming through very strongly. So for me, this is really about kind of honeyed or sweet dates, but they're not overpoweringly sweet. They're mildly sweet, let's call it that. I have definitely tried other date fragrances that are much sweeter than this one, but this is a beauty. It's not really talked about all that much, but I would definitely recommend this scent. And a fragrance that features the note of plum that I discovered this year is Black Tulip from SHAY and Blue. And this one was not a love at first sniff, because when I first sprayed it, the note of plum was so strong, especially initially, that I thought that I made a mistake with this fragrance. But I let it develop on my skin, and then I tried it for the second time, and then, as they say, the rest is history. I really fell in love with this scent. It is the most beautiful scent featuring a note of plum that I have ever tried. So obviously, as I mentioned, there is a note of plum, there's a note of tulip, there's also white chocolate and woody notes. And initially, it was the note of white chocolate that really got me interested in this scent, because I really didn't have any scents that have white chocolate, and it's just an amazing combination of white chocolate and plums together. It's like, I don't know, there are these chocolate candies that have like dried plums inside, and they're covered in milk chocolate. This is what it reminds me of. It's just a stunning combination, like I said, of chocolate and plums. And it was really a surprise to me how much I like this fragrance and how quickly I really fell in love with it. So that's it. This is my list of unexpected fragrance loves for this year. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below if you found any fragrances this year that really surprised. Thank you for watching. I will see you soon in my next video. Bye.